Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of the Sports Roundup with Sushil and Naveen. Naveen, good to be back with you.
Oh, I am waiting to discuss NFL free
It has
agency.
been, I felt like we were at it, then we went on a hiatus for a bit, and I guess we took our spring breaks and we are back. So, free agency, Naveen, I'm glad you went there. It's been a crazy free agency. What do you think of? So, give me a biggest takeaway from this free agency.
So, one of the things I did see is that teams that made the playoffs were relevant
Yeah.
still made big moves, right? And and many of the moves were within the conference and even within divisions, like a Saquon, like a few other people, Patrick Queen.
Patrick Queen, yeah.
And typically that doesn't happen. So I'm kind of surprised, but it's kind of interesting as well. So I'm like kind of excited. This was a really
Yeah.
fun free agency period.
Yeah, it's a really good call. And Aaron Jones was another one that you and I were talking
Yeah.
about, movement from Packers to the Vikings. But that's a really good observation. One thing that jumped out at me, Naveen, was we always knew NFL was a business,
Yeah.
but this time it felt like the what have you done for me lately?
Oh.
That mentality was so evident. And the reason I say that is, you look at your favorite. I know you called me a fanboy when we were talking Chiefs, but you're a big huge Steelers fan.
Yes.
And Justin Fields went to Steelers, and the reason I'm thinking about this, what have you done for me lately? Mentality is the Chicago Bears drafted him 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Half a year he didn't play, and a year and a half they're done with him. They're moving on to Caleb Williams. Your team moved on from Kenny Pickett. I think for the right reasons. I think Fields and Wilson are both an upgrade, but the fact that they moved on from these players so quickly, Naveen,
I totally
it's
agree.
just such an interesting move there by team, but it just tells you the pressure the teams are under. The front office, the owners, the coaches, the GMs.
I think it's the pressure from the fans.
Yeah.
If you don't do well,
Yeah.
it's become like revenue generation
The
is
money is so big.
uh,
Oh my lord,
absolutely.
some of these contracts, Naveen.
Yeah.
Christian Wilkins, we talk about the quarterbacks, but Christian Wilkins as a defensive player, $115 million is what the Raiders gave him. It's just mind blowing, right? The amount of money.
I mean,
these guys
the
are
money
getting.
that's coming from Amazon,
Yeah.
Thursday Night Football, and then it just
The
keeps
TV rights
coming.
and things.
It's like billions of dollars,
It is-
and the teams that fall behind
Yeah,
will suffer.
yeah.
So
It's such a big money making machine. It is.
Absolutely.
It is. It's clearly the number one sport in the country
Right
by
now.
far. Right
In the US.
in the US for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
So we talked about the takeaways, Naveen. Let's click on that a bit. Give me your what were the moves that kind of caught your attention?
So obviously the Steelers.
Yeah, I
right?
kind of gave it away when I said your team and the fanboy, but yeah, Steelers.
Russell Wilson and Justin Fields coming
Yeah.
to the Steelers. I think it's two quarterbacks who are an upgrade over Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
And I think the quarterback room itself, with the challenges,
Yeah,
they can challenge each other. Even if Russell Wilson is the starting quarterback, they can still put Justin Fields in some packages,
yeah.
which will make them a dual threat. I think that's something
Like the
that
Saints
I'm just.
move with with the tight end Taysom Hill, right?
Yeah,
Put them in a running
I think it's
position. Yeah.
just, and Justin Fields is talented enough
Yeah.
that he could even play a little bit of running back
Correct.
for a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about that. And on the defensive side, I think Patrick Queen is a big one, right?
It's a big move, yeah.
And overall, I do think they did well. And the other one, I think, is people don't understand. I think Kirk Cousin may be like a middling quarterback, like a 10th best, 11th best, but he's a steady, solid quarterback.
Yeah,
And Atlanta hasn't had
yeah.
anyone even in the top 25 best quarterbacks in a long time,
Yeah.
right? Since Matt Ryan. And I think their skill positions are excellent. Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson. They're loaded at the skills position. Their defense is not up to snuff, but I think their offense will
Yeah.
be really
Tyler
good.
Algier, their running game, they have a solid offensive line.
Amazing,
I
yeah.
think they did really well. Those are two really good ones, Naveen. Maybe I'll go with you talked about your Steelers. I'm going to pick on that and talk about Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears. And we talked about how quickly they went away from Fields, but now let's talk about what I thought was really good is they're getting ready for Caleb Williams, so
Yep.
that is clear. But what they did to make Chicago an appealing option for Caleb Williams, there were some really good moves. Keenan Allen, DeAndre Swift,
Yep.
Gerald Everett. So they got two players from the Chargers, and then you have Cole Kmet already. You already have DJ Moore
Yep.
there, who was fantastic last year.
And they
as
have
a-
the 9th pick.
They have the 9th pick. So look at this: DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, Gerald Everett, Keenan Allen, and DeAndre Swift.
And if
I
they
mean-
get like Odunze or something, who's the second
Who's the
best
second?
receiver,
Exactly.
right? Like from
So,
Washington. And I
I
think
think
they'll
they
get
did-
like a defensive lineman or
Yeah.
an offensive line guy. But
Yeah.
man, will their wide receiver room be crazy,
Be
if
crazy.
they get
So I
Odunze?
thought that was
Yeah.
really good. Now this is a bold pick, but I'm picking them to go win 10 games next year. I think they have
That's
the
not
team to do
shocking. Let's put
They
it
have the
this
team to
way:
do
like,
it. Yeah.
they already won 7 games.
They already
last
won
year.
7,
So
correct.
winning
So
10
or 11
that's a
is not
plus
a big-
3 with
yeah.
Caleb
Yeah.
and the skill position.
and the skill position upgrade. So that was one. The second thing, I cannot end this without being a fanboy. So I thought the Chiefs and Naveen, they didn't make a lot of flashes, but they protected the turf, right? They took care of business. Signing Chris Jones was huge. That was
Huge.
top priority for them. I'm so glad they gave him the money. Mahomes restructured his contract and put back about 25 million back in the pool for them to use. So, and then they got Hollywood Brown, lights, cameras, action. They needed a wide receiver, so I think they got Hollywood Brown, which is a decent pickup.
Yeah.
I don't think they need a whole lot.
Yeah.
Mahomes showed that they can win with Rashid Rice and team, and I think they're getting ready for a three-peat. So I thought those were the two. So before we kind of wrap this up, Naveen, we talked about teams that did well. What about some of maybe the teams that didn't do that well, or maybe losers in free agency for you?
For me, the Cowboys, because
Yeah.
they didn't make any moves, but it's not sexy because they didn't make any moves. So, I mean,
Yeah.
Dak restructures his contract a little bit, but I feel like that doesn't move the
That doesn't
needle
move the
here or
needle.
there.
Yeah.
But the other part was, I think them missing out on Saquon was a big one. I think
Yeah.
they should have gotten Saquon
Yeah.
because they lost Pollard.
They lost Pollard. Good point. Either Saquon or I would have also gone after Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry.
Or even
when-
Aaron Jones.
When Ravens signed Henry, it was not for a lot of amount, right? The money was reasonable. The fact that they didn't go after him, I agree, that's a good one. I would say the Chargers as one of the they just emptied the wardrobe. They got rid of everybody from the skill position. Keenan Allen is gone, Eckler is gone, Mike
Only
Williams.
the skeletons left.
Only the skeleton is left with a hope that you have Harbaugh, who
Yeah.
knows how to turn things around. So those, I think, were our two. There's so much more to talk about, Naveen, in free agency, but I think we may wrap this up here for now.
Yes.
And if you think, we may actually pick it up and do one more episode on free agency, because I know there's so much to talk about. So
Yeah.
thank you again, everybody, for tuning in. Follow Naveen and I on our Instagram handles as well. And tune back again next week for another or more content either on NFL, basketball, as well as cricket.
Yes.
Thanks all.
Thanks all.